Last week I showed how it's impossible for direct sunlight to hit the underside of clouds and cast a shadow on it, as this would mean that the sun would have to be below the cloud cover. In the comments I received a response to my argument, which I am going to address. The commenter basically had three things to say about my argument. First, they claimed that I begged the question that the sun will cast shadows on the underside of the clouds if Earth is a globe and that I need to prove it. Well, the proof was already in the picture that the flat earther showed. It literally shows the sun casting a shadow on the underside of the clouds. I made a diagram explaining this observation. Therefore, I provided enough evidence to prove my point. Next, they claim that I commit the affirming the consequent fallacy by using an assumption that Earth is a globe to prove that Earth is a globe, which is ridiculous because besides the shadows and the sunlight on the underside of the clouds, there are many more pieces of evidence that show Earth is a globe. Based on all that evidence, we know that the sun can only cast its light on the underside of the clouds because Earth is a globe. So, no, argument 1 is not debunked, even though this commenter claims that it is. And their last argument on this is utterly hilarious. They claim it's a baseless assertion to claim that on a flat Earth the sun has to be physically below the clouds in order to cast sunlight on the underside of those clouds. No, this is not a baseless assertion. It's basic physics. We know how sunlight behaves and what influences it. The diagram which I posted is a correct representation of reality. With how we know sunlight behaves, this is where the sun has to be on a flat Earth in order to cast sunlight on the underside of a cloud. What we do not see is this. After their ridiculous rebuttal to my first argument, they offer an argument to prove Earth is flat. Even though they did not make a video, as required in this debate format, I am going to address their argument. They claim that celestial navigation, determining your position on Earth based on the angles in which you observe the stars, proves Earth is flat, which is ridiculous as it actually proves Earth is a globe. One way to determine your position is by finding the angle to the pole star. When you're at the North Pole, it is straight above you. If you're in the Netherlands, then it's at 53 degrees above the horizon. If you're in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, the star is at 26 degrees above the horizon. This aligns with your position on the globe. And this is absolutely impossible on a flat Earth. On a flat Earth, the lines of sight would cross, meaning you cannot determine a fixed location for the star and therefore not a fixed position for you on Earth. Hence, celestial navigation does not prove Earth is flat, it proves Earth is a globe. This brings me to round 2, and again it has to be something basic, like where up and down are on a globe. It seems that flat earthers think that up is north, and when people are at the equator, that they are rotated 90 degrees and flat on the surface. Or that when people are at the south end, that they are upside down, which is ridiculous. Up is always away from the Earth and down is always toward the center of the Earth. This also means that airplanes flying around the globe do not have to dip their nose in order to follow the curvature. Here again, the principle is very simple. The globe is surrounded by an atmosphere which has the least pressure at the highest altitude and the highest pressure at the lowest altitude. For an airplane to fly around the globe, it needs to produce lift. It does that by pushing air around its wings, creating a higher pressure underneath the wings and a lower pressure above the wings. As the air around the globe at 30,000 feet above the surface is about 4.3 psi, the airplane needs to produce enough pressure under its wings to basically stay buoyant at 30,000 feet. Let's say that the altitude in the picture is 30,000 feet. Then all around the globe the pressure at this altitude will be about 4.3 psi. With the plane flying at a constant speed, it will constantly balance the 4.3 psi air pressure, and it will automatically stay at 30,000 feet while flying above the curved surface of the planet. The distance between Earth's surface and the airplane does not change. It will remain 30,000 feet even when it moves around the globe. The plane will not come down toward the surface of the planet unless the pilot reduces the amount of lift the airplane produces. The airplane will also not fly into space, as the higher one goes, the lower the air pressure becomes, and the airplane has to produce more lift in order to gain more altitude. When the airplane keeps flying at a constant speed and produces a constant amount of lift, then it cannot increase altitude and it will remain at about 30,000 feet above the surface of the globe. Dipping of the nose is not necessary. The plane will follow the curvature automatically, as the air pressure around the globe at 30,000 feet altitude is about equal everywhere, and the plane will constantly produce enough lift to maintain that altitude. If you're a flat earther and you want to tell me that I am wrong and that airplanes do need to tip their nose down to go around the globe, then remember where up and down are. Up is away from the surface. Down is toward the center of the Earth. When an airplane stays at the same altitude above the surface, it is neither going up or down. It's simply maintaining the same orbit around the globe. None of these airplanes are dipping their noses down, as all of them are horizontal relative to their position above the globe. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and join me next time for round 3.